Tonight's species is found throughout all Florida waters, inshore and offshore, shallow and deep. No matter where you encounter the shark, you can be certain you'll have your hands full. This is the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, powered by Harbor Trucks and presented by Yamaha.
Get excited, everyone, because this week on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, not only do we have a fantastic audience in the house, we have the one and only Dr. Guy Harvey here with us, and we're talking about the man in the gray suit. Thank you for being here and welcome back.
Rick and Brie, thank you very much for having me back on your show.
You know, Brie, I'm one of the lucky ones in here tonight because I actually get to sit on the foundation and get to go to some of these great expeditions, and that's what Guy's here to talk about.
All right.
Well, this next expedition that you're going to see is the one about mako sharks. We feature many different species, but the mako is one of my favorites.
I know it is. All right, we got a show to do, right, Brie?
Yes,
where we go?
We do. We're excited to talk to you more about that later, but we have to go say hi to Dave at the CCA Workbench to get this shark show on the road. Dave,
that mako shark stuff is great. I got to do that in East Lima Harris with him one time, and that was amazing.
Well, you and Rick are both lucky duckies right there because I haven't done that yet. When do I get to go with Dr. Guy Harvey?
As soon as you slow down that baby train, maybe that might happen.
All right. Well, here we go. Let's start off in the
babies, Mama.
I have. Let's start off in the East region with Captain Mike Holliday, where finding the sharks isn't a problem. Just hook a fish and they'll find you. Let's get to it, Mike.
That's pretty much it, Brie. There's no lack of sharks in my region, whether you fish inshore or offshore. The last couple of years, we've been inundated with big bull sharks, hammerheads, and dusky sharks on our offshore reefs, particularly off Palm Beach County, where it seems like you can just pick a random spot on the reef, turn off your engine, and you'll have a handful of sharks around your boat in 5 minutes. You'll also find them around Bull Shark Barge and the Sand Pile out of Stewart and the St. Lucie Power Plant outflow out of St. Lucie County. If you're a shorebound angler, you can paddle out at Bonita or Jack Crevalle from the beach and catch tiger sharks, hammerheads, bull sharks, blacktip sharks around the House of Refuge. Hope Sound Beach is a good one. Tiger Shores Beach is a good one. You'll also find a good mix of blacktip, juvenile bull sharks, and bonnethead sharks in the Indian River around Sailfish Point, around the Crossroads area, and also around J.C. Park up in Fort Pierce. Bait them with anything from a mullet to a bonita or even a stingray on a 9-0 to 12-0 circle hook and a number 10 wire leader, and you'll be hooked up in no time. Moving inshore, the tarpon migration on the beaches is pretty much tapered off, but there's still some strings and small schools of fish pushing through on the beach. And if you find one of those, the fish are hungry, they're easy to get to bite. There's also been some resident fish in the St. Lucie River around Harbor Ridge and around the Roosevelt Bridge at night. In the Indian River near the Crossroads, there's been some fish, and also around Joe's Point. And a lot of those resident fish also hang out in the inlets in my region and become most active after dark, particularly on the outgoing tides. For the fish on the beach, you can throw an all-white saltwater assassin, 6-inch shad, or a chrome and blueback lip plug and do pretty well on those. But, threadfin sardines and live crabs, they're going to be your best baits. Inside, mullet work great. You can fish them live on a 60-pound fluorocarbon leader and a 6.0 VMC tournament circle hook, or you can fish them dead on the bottom during the slack tides, or if you can find an area that's out of the current. Average tarpon in my region right now is going to be 50 to 90 pounds. I got a photo there. That's Newt Zenner from Michigan. He made one cast with a live threadfin, caught one fish along the beach. That was out of a string of 10 fish that we found off the power plant.
All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Well, normally we don't start seeing big schools of those juvenile kingfish, those like 8 to 18-pound fish. We don't usually see them till about August, but they're here now. They seem to be all over the East region. The best bite's been in 75 to 110 feet of water off the Black Condo in St. Lucie County, but there's also fish on the 6 Mile Reef, the Loran Tower Ledge, and the Sand Pile. And if you can find a big school of bait anywhere in the region in 20 to 40 feet of water, there'll be kings on it right now. And if you're looking for big kings, the Vero Cove has had a lot of big kings on the bait schools in close to the beach. Get you some number 4 wire, a couple of boxes of number 4 VMC treble hooks, tie up some stinger rigs. You can slow troll blue runners, redfin, mullet, sardines, really any live bait and catch the kings. You can also drift with dead sardines and a mono leader with that triple hook Palm Beach rig and do pretty well on them. A lot of the fish are small, so you can use spinning gear and have a lot of fun right now. I got a photo there. That's your typical king. Chris Gill caught that schooling king on a live thread fin using a double hook stinger rig. The other thing going on, this has been an epic summer for the sailfish bite. The action remains steady between Stewart and Fort Pierce. The best stuff has taken place off Jensen Beach in 90 to 130 feet of water, but you'll catch them anywhere between the two inlets in like 60 to 150 feet of water. The fish seem to be more broken up than they were the last couple of weeks, so there's not as many multiple hookups taking place, but there are a lot of fish that are just free jumping or cruising on the surface feeding, and you're seeing a lot more of them, particularly in the afternoons. Thread fins have been plentiful out of St. Lucie and Fort Pierce inlets, so that's definitely the way to go if you're looking to target sailfish. Fill up your live well, run offshore, bridle the baits on a 7/0 circle hook, slow troll them, or put them out on a kite. You can always throw a ballyhoo or a swimming mullet and get them, but live bait's definitely going to do better. The average sailfish right now is about 40 pounds.
All right, Hollywood, every week we go bass fishing, so what you got?
Well, the schooling bite is strong on Lake Okeechobee right now. From about daylight till about 8:30 in the morning, I was talking to Captain Scott Martin of Clewiston. He said you want to work the thicker grass lines up along Observation Shoal, throwing shad-colored topwater plugs and swim baits, or an all-white spinnerbait with a gold willow leaf blade. The key is to look for shad being actively busted on the surface by those schooling fish, then slide over there. Most of those fish are under 3 pounds. If you're looking for that big bass bite, the fish are moving into the isolated reed patches that are not attached to the shorelines. They're kind of detached and away from the shorelines. If you can find those isolated reeds patches around Dice's Ditch or Harney Pond, that bite gets going around noon. When the sun gets hot, the fish move into those reeds to kind of cool down and get some shade. You can power pole down a long cast away from the reeds and either throw a topwater plug or you can flip the reeds with a worm or a creature bait. The real key here is the water. The water. If the water has a red tint to it, June bug is the color to use. If it's normal color, then the natural colors like green pumpkin are the way to go. You can also use live shiners and do very well in those same areas. Average bass out on those isolated reeds is like 3 to 5 pounds with fish to 7 pounds in the mix. So Lake Okeechobee's doing really well right now.
All right, thank you so much, Hollywood. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Atlas Jack Plate hotspots from the East region. Inshore mangrove snappers on the rocks, jetties in St. Lucie Inlet, live shrimp, juvenile sardines, or thread fins against the rocks on the slack tide for the mangoes, and then offshore mutton snappers in 65 to 75 feet of water off Hobe Sound. Thread fins, cigar minnows, sardines, or grunt plugs are going to work for those muttons, Brie.
You know you wanted to say minos.
Minos.
The Flagler Construction Northwest region has them sharks, all kinds in fact, and Captain Jeff Hageman is going to fill us in on the what, where, and when. Right, Hag?
Oh, yeah, we've got all kinds of shark sizes. Black tips, sharp nose, bull sharks, hammerheads, bonnet heads, makos, tigers. We've got most of them. Fishing for sharks in my region, you kind of want to target what size shark you're going to fish for. If you're fishing for a big, bull shark or big hammerhead, you're going to upscale your tackle, of course. A wire leader is a must with all sharks. If you're going to fish smaller, you want to, of course, match your tackle to that, your black tip, shark nose, and stuff like that. But around the beaches and passes is a great place to fish. If you're shore locked, the Skyway Bridge has always been a great place to shark fish. And chum, 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 chum. The more scent you can put in the water, the more sharks are going to come. When you're chumming, make sure you're in a good place where there's good tidal flow, good current flow that can dispense that scent all throughout an area and draw fish in. We've also got a lot of fish right now offshore on the reefs and wrecks, anywhere from 65 feet and out. We got a lot of black tip, spinner sharks, and sharp nose sharks out there. And guys, when you're handling a shark, can't stress it enough, extra long hookouts so you can keep your fingers. That's a must. And another kind of cool thing we got showing up right now in our region, we've got quite a few sightings. We got a lot of whale sharks around right now, and they've been seeing quite a few. So when you're out there offshore, you might want to keep an extra eye out and might see one of these giants cruising around. Keep a GoPro with you and get some cool shots.
All right.
But that's always an exciting.
Tell me about the snappers, bub.
We got mangrove snappers seem to be everywhere again, from inside the bay to 100 feet of water. Over any high relief structure right now, reef or wreck, anything that's got any high structure are holding good mangroves right now. Shrimp and sardines seem to be the bait of choice. Knocker rig, use the smallest hookies you can possibly get away with, and depending on the size bait you're using, and just enough lead to get to the bottom. Fish right now have been averaging anywhere from 2 to 6 pounds, and the bigger fish have, of course, been a little bit further offshore. Moving inshore, Captain Mark Brady in Steinhatchee, Florida, of Saltwater Flats Fishing Charters, reports a good trout bite right now in that 5 to 7 foot. He's using soft plastics with a 1/4 ounce jig head. Speckled trout and sand trout right now are eating good. He's got scallop season going on also right now in his part of the region. And right now, with that scallop season going on, the trout bite's been kind of getting run over in the afternoon. So get out there first thing in the morning, do your trout fishing. Then he's doing a little scallop fishing or scalloping in the afternoon when it gets hot and you want to get in the water anyway. So that's kind of a good little thing going on right now. Moving a little bit further down the coast, Captain Jimbo O'Keefe, the Saltwater Sass Fishing Charters out of Cedar Key, reports a good trout bite in his region right now. It's been pretty solid in the deeper grass flats. Again, 1/4 ounce jig head, rigged on with a green moon sea shad tail has been working best for him right now. He says the trick to get the trout to bite is making sure that jig makes contact with the bottom. You're fishing a little bit deeper, so give it a couple extra seconds for that 1/4 ounce jig head to let it actually hit the bottom before you start retrieving. He's also saying there's quite a few nice triple tail moving around their region too, so keep an eye around for those crab trap buoys that are going to be holding those. Got some photos here of some nice West Coast trout caught by our guys.
Looks good, bub.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
For the first time in 25 years in Pasco County, has been opened up to scallop harvest. We got a 10-day trial period. Starts from Friday, July 20th to the 29th this season. Harvest areas include the state waters around the end of Pasco-Hernando County line to the end of the north end of the key and the Lighthouse Northern Pinellas line in the Anclote River.
Right.
So that's kind of exciting for us. We haven't had that open in a long time, since I was a little kid. It was the last time I got to go do it there, so should be fun.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Hag. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Northwest region. Jeff says at inshore, scallops around the Gomez Rocks in 3 to 6 feet of water, and then offshore, groupers, red and gags in 70 feet of water over ledges, rock piles, and live rock. Want to use a pinfish for bait for those groupers, Brie.
Remember when you went scalloping and you got in the water?
I know.
There were probably some sharks around.
Oh, nice.
Coming up on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, shark style, we're checking in with our Southwest Region captain. Plus, we're getting ready to talk with Dr. Guy Harvey in a few minutes. But first, Dave at the CCA Workbench has the rigs and techniques. Dave, are we going to catch a shark or what?
Well, I don't know. We're going to let Rick Murphy show us all of his flats fishing secrets, his shark flats fishing secrets. He's going to share them all.
He's got the secrets.
Everyone.
Oh boy, we'll be
Everyone.
right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Always in the game. SiriusXM Marine. Weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet. And Sea Sucker. Get pumped.
Hi, this is Chris Freeland of Harbor Trucks, and my family has been in the business for over 70 years, and I hope that means as much to you as it does to us. Trucks have always been my passion, and I've assembled a team of experts to help find the right truck for you.
Harbor Trucks also has a dedicated commercial department that can design and deliver the perfect truck or van for your business anywhere in the country.
Our staff includes master technicians ensuring every one of our trucks goes through a rigorous inspection and reconditioning process. We also have a team of customization experts that can build the truck of your dreams, including custom tires, rims, bumpers, LED lights, and more. Come test drive every make and model in one location at our on-site towing and test course, or we can deliver an amazing truck directly to you.
Harbor Trucks, hassle-free buying and low, low, low prices. Check us out now at harbortrucks.com. That's harbortrucks.com.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
Welcome back. Here's a look at the FWC news and notes. July 21st is the Scallop Rodeo at St. Andres Bay in Panama City. July 24th is the Nature Coast Fishing for Youth program in Cedar Key. And July 25th is Wild About in Florida in Brooksville. For more information, visit myfwc.com. But now let's head to the CCA workbench for some rigs and techniques.
Well, we're here at the Academy Sports and Outdoors at the CCA workbench talking about rigs and techniques.
Stealing money today.
You are stealing
money today. No, we're going to talk about sharks, and we're very fortunate living here in Florida because we got a lot of sharks, and it hasn't always been that way. There are times when we've had commercial interests hammering them pretty hard, and there was times when Jaws came out and everybody thought a shark was a mindless eating machine and we should kill everyone, kind of like they do with barracudas still today. And you know, nothing deserves that, and sharks don't deserve it. You know, they're pretty smart animals, believe it or not, highly specialized. They're, you know, living fossils. You know, they're virtually unchanged for millions of years. They're a perfect animal. You know, they're really cool animals, and especially when I was a little kid, I just couldn't get enough. I read every book, I saw every movie. You know, I just loved them, and it pretty much got me into fishing, that wanting to be around sharks. And I remember as a kid up here in Cape Canaveral, going fishing at night under Pineda Causeway and catching little sharks. That was that's a huge deal to a young man. So, you know, you get to catch a lot of sharks down in the Keys, one of the most sharkiest places there is, and you get to do it in really shallow water, cool fishing.
Watching it happen. So Dave, the key to whether we're world record shark fishing or whether we're just out pleasure fishing, whether you're fishing spinning rods or whether you're fishing flies, guys, there's two key elements that I need you to understand. First thing is that we like to catch a barracuda. You can use ladyfish, you can use jacks, mackerels, bonitas. I find that the jacks aren't quite as oily as some of the other fish. And essentially what you're gonna do is you're gonna fillet the side of the fish down, and then you're going to leave the fillet attached to the tail. And then you're gonna hang, you know, 5 or 6 ladyfish, 1 big barracuda, and you're gonna hang it with the head out of the water. The key is, guys, that you have to drift. The best day to go shark fishing is the day that you would normally want to stay home.
Nice
the
windy
day that
day.
it's blowing 20 miles an hour or more. And the reason why is because you're gonna hang this over and you're gonna drift. And as you drift, you're creating this giant cone of scent. Now out there 300 yards, Dave, the cone, you'll see the shark as they start to come in to the chum, they do this zigzagging pattern. And as they get to the edge of where the scent is, they'll turn around and go back to where they're getting more scent. And as they get closer to the boat, they might only be moving 2 or 3 feet. This is when we call it coming in hot. And when they come in hot, at that point is you can throw a bright orange fly, you can throw a Rapala, use the rod tip, hold the rod tip up high, and this will keep the plug up in the water column. The key is you gotta stay in front of the fish. Don't get confused, don't throw the fly over there because he's gonna come back to the center. Look down at the fillet and how it's hanging off of the boat as you're drifting along. And the reason why you want to do that is to see what angle you want to throw at, because he's going to be over there 45 feet out. But by the time he gets to here, it's a 30-foot cast. Now, sometimes, guys, what do you do if it's not blowing? Well, those are the cases where you're going to anchor. And the key is that when you anchor, you understand you're going to have a lot more scent close by. And so as the fish get into the scent, then they don't have the feeling that it's this wounded fish when you're drifting.
Right.
You know, when I went to Mexico with Guy, we drifted so that it felt like to the shark that whatever was wounded and they were chasing and tracking down, that it was still alive and it was moving. So they would come in a lot hotter than if you were anchored in one spot and you have all this scent around the boat. They don't stay as hot.
Right.
But at times when you have the current and the wind going in the same direction, you have no choice. But then you have to anchor down and you got to deal with that. And then that's when you most likely are going to fish big chunk of bait.
Yeah, well, one thing, when you catch a shark, you know, you see a lot of guys pulling a live shark into the boat to take a picture with it or trying to get the hooks out. You know, hooks are getting a little expensive these days, but I guarantee you there's not a hook out there that costs as much as an ER visit.
That's right.
You know, stitches are way more expensive than any hook. Put the sucker in, leave him in the water, take your pictures when he's in the water, cut him off and let him have the hook. He'll be much better off.
Can you believe that was 4.5 minutes?
Nice
No, it went fast, didn't
Nice
it?
little bow tie, Dave. I love
I
that.
didn't have to do much.
No, you didn't. No, you did not. Well, you better not be fiddle fishing around in the Bell's Southwest region because hooking up to a shark with Captain Ronnie Houston is no joke. Let's hear it, Ronnie.
Well, grateful to be here, guys. You know, the good thing about it is that they can be caught both inshore and offshore in the Southwest region. And the thing about it is they're plentiful either way you want to do it. But the most common are the bulls, the black tips, the nurse, occasional tigers, and hammerheads. But on the offshore side, you want to concentrate on wrecks, towers, artificial reefs, and really, depending upon what time of the year, following the migrating fish. Now, on the inshore side, the passes, the bridges, the beaches, and the flats. Now, to attract them, chumming is probably the best method, but nothing beats a large cut bait, especially like a mullet or a ladyfish if you butterfly the bait. You can also sight fish these fish in clean water or on the lower stages of the tide, on top or along the edges of the flats and sandbars. Now, heavy tackle is suggested, a strong circle hook, and always a tracer wire if you're targeting the sharks, but you can also target them on light tackle and even fly. Baits of choice can be large light baits, cut baits, flies, bucktails, topwater plugs, as well as lip plugs. Whatever your desire, there's no shortage both on the inshore and offshore side in the Southwest region. Now, still on the offshore side, a real particular bite here is the red grouper. Now, like I've talked about for several weeks, they've been really far out, but right now concentrate on depths of 35 to 50 feet, fishing hard bottom, out towards the towers by drifting and looking for your bottom finder. Now, you can try to initiate the bite by using cut squid to get the fish going, but I strongly suggest live sardines have been working well. Once you locate them, just anchor up. Also, white bucktails with squid, cut herring as well as live herring, and sardines have been working well. This is a moderate weather bite, especially right now with the good weather we're having. This is the perfect run for any type of angler getting out there in a bay boat. And I got a prime example of a couple red groupers caught nose depth down on the south end of the region. Now, here we are on the inshore side. We're going to talk about the tarpon. Now, the bite's been hit and miss on the outside of Boca Grande area due to another batch of red tide. But when this happens, the fish seem to move into the Sound and Charlotte Harbor. But there are also plenty of fish to the south from Plover Key to Indian Key along the outer Gulf points and passes, both on high and low water. Now, in both areas, live pinfish, live herrings, crabs, 4 to 6 inch swim baits like the bass assassin, didapper, and Houdini, or smoking shad, or baits that are similar to them. Clean water fish can be also sight casted on fly. I got a couple picks up in the northern end of the region while fishing with Captain Matt Haig. That's just before the red tide hit. Now a lot of these fish are up in the harbor. Also on the inshore side, the snooks. East side, Matla Alligator Creek up in the north end, and to the south end, Coon Key to Indian Key. Now both north and south pattern is similar. Outer face of the Gulf Islands and Independent Islands to the north. Both areas, live pilchards, live pinfish, and a variety of 4-inch bass assassin sea sharks, or bait similar. Silver spoons and Rapala skitterwalks in bone, chartreuse and black and silver, and I got a prime example of a nice snook that was caught to the south. So either way, guys, weather looks good for the weekend, both for offshore and inshore. Get out and have you some fun fishing.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Calusa Cast Net hotspots from the Southwest region. Offshore permit, Stump Pass to Fort Myers Beach, 8 to 20 miles out fishing wrecks using live crab, shrimp, or bright colored bucktails tipped. And then inshore, redfish, Lossman's River to Mormon Key, on the higher stage of the tide along the mangrove shorelines using pilchards, cut mullet, ladyfish, gold spoons, and a Rapala skitterwalk. Sounds like anything in your box that worked for the Red Dogs.
Anything goes. Well, Rick, another star-tagged redfish was caught by an unregistered angler in Tequesta, Florida, which means this fish was released for someone else to catch, which makes 17, which isn't that bad. Had the young man been registered, he would have won a 16-foot Carolina skiff with 40 HP Yamaha Minn Kota trolling motor and Humminbird electronics. The prize is still available in the tagged redfish division are the GMC truck, Carolina skiff, Ultra, Hughes redfisher, and the Cottonmouth boat, all powered by Yamaha. But it's not all about tagged fish, guys. There's still plenty of time to register and win $500,000 in prizes. Most divisions are determined by a random drawing, and all it takes is catching one legal-sized fish and submitting it to win. So go get registered at CCFlorida.
Hey, how many of you kids, show me real quick hands that you're registered for CCA Star? Come on.
No.
So guess what? I can't even, I was going to give this boat away tonight. What the heck?
See, that's how it happens.
See, just like that. Go ahead, Brie.
All right, we hope you're having just as much fun as we are, but get ready for some more shark catching fun in the Keys and Southeast regions. And we're talking with our special guest, Dr. Guy Harvey, next, right here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Swift, Silent, Secure, Bass Assassin, and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. The American Fishing Tackle Company, any fish, any water, since 1958. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left, there's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Harbor Trucks features the largest selection of new and pre-owned trucks in the country, an on-site towing and test course, and a team of truck specialists. Come line up every make and model in one location and find the truck of your dreams, or we'll build it custom for you. Harbor Trucks, hassle-free buying, and low, low, low prices. Check us out now at harbortrucks.com or 2 miles off I-75 in Port Charlotte, Florida.
So I'd like to welcome my good friend, Dr. Guy Harvey. You know, Guy, we sit on, obviously, I'm one of the lucky guys. I get to sit on the foundation, and we get to do a lot of cool search and research in our expeditions.
Well, it's really important, Rick, that we learn about the natural history of all these sharks for which we like to fish.
So we brought some video when we went down to Mexico on an expedition. Let's take a look at some of this, and we can
well, the mako
talk
shark,
about our research.
The mako shark's one of the most important sharks in our sport fishery, and very little is known about it. We spent 6 years down in Mexico now learning all about the natural history of this amazing animal.
So, you know, how many roughly, how many mako sharks have you tagged in those 6 years, do you know?
We've tagged 98 mako sharks. That's
98.
a lot, yeah.
You know, and Guy, the cool part about it, I know that we've also tagged some in the Atlantic. So is there, are they the same size in the Atlantic as they are in the Gulf? Tell me a little bit about that.
Pretty much the same size. Here we've got them being tagged in the Yucatan, and they go mostly into the Gulf of Mexico, whereas the ones we tag up in the mid-Atlantic area, they go all up and down that continental shelf to Newfoundland, out to Bermuda and back, but they really hug that continental edge. And of course, there's a lot of commercial fishing going on as well.
So we brought 3 tracks, Guy. So let's talk about the tracks and also how the tag works. To start off with, let's look at the Captain Rick.
Yeah. I wonder who that's named after.
So, yeah. So we tagged this fish when I was down there a year ago, and he pinged for basically 94 days, and then it went away. So we don't know if that was a tag issue or what.
This is Tough Guy, one of the few that left the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. And Jack Hanna, of course, named after the famous zoologist Jack Hanna. And he did about 3,000 miles.
So in all, if you look, there's obviously a coalition down there in the Caribbean, and this is your website where we can go and research all the different sharks. Tell me what's happening down there off of the Yucatan, Guy.
What is showing up here is an area of real importance to us. Just about 100 miles north of where we're tagging, there's a lot of activity going on. So we call that essential habitat. The makos are spending a lot of time there. We don't know why, probably feeding. But they really spend a lot of time in the Gulf of Mexico and the Western Caribbean. The ones from the mid-Atlantic now spend all that time in the northwestern Atlantic Ocean. And they're the ones we're really concerned about because of the amount of commercial fishing.
And this has a lot of value to the Mexican government. Didn't you just tell me that?
We did. But what is more important is that we have now learnt, because we're getting fishery independent data about the mortality rates of makos, that the mortality rate is 10 times higher than previously estimated.
Now, Guy, before you go, I know just in the last 5 days or last few days, there's been 5 sharks, did you tell me, that were caught off the East Coast?
3 just caught, all of which were tagged in May. So
where were they tagged?
In Ocean City, Maryland.
Oh, East Coast.
It indicates the very high level of fishing going on. And of course, nowadays, the rules have changed. People have to release makos caught live if you're a commercial fisherman. And same for recreationals if they can do that.
So those 3 that were caught,
one was released again, and we're still waiting for the photos to come back. It's kind of cool that the wrecks have recognized a problem, because there is a real problem. Makos are being overfished.
So in a short sentence, what's the future of the mako shark in your professional opinion?
I think it looks better than it did in the past. We know that about 500,000 makos are killed every year, and that number needs to come down because it's unsustainable.
Well, I gotta say, on behalf of everybody here, myself, we're very, very proud of the fact of the work that you do. We appreciate you. We can't tell you that enough, but if people have any question about the foundation or any of your artwork or any of the things you're doing, how can they find out more information?
They can go to guyharvey.com, and of course we have a very active social media platform as well. So they can follow us in many different ways. But thanks to everybody for their support in buying Guy Harvey merchandise. You're supporting conservation and research work.
So guys, what do you think about Dr. Guy Harvey here tonight?
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it.
All right, Brie.
Rick, I second that. We are proud of you, and we do appreciate you, Dr. Harvey. All right, anything you want, the Keys has got sharks included, and Captain Randy Tao is on the line to tell you how to get them on the line. Hey, Randy.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, it's a little ironic. It's Shark Week going on right now, and we're talking about sharks. But these fish are really found on both sides of the highway. We find them on the Bayside. We find them in the Atlantic. And it really depends on what you're looking to catch. Believe it or not, there's a lot of guides that specialize in targeting sharks, whether it be a lemon shark, a bull shark, a tiger shark, hammerhead shark. We've got them all, and there are guys here that target specific species and on certain tackle. So it is kind of interesting down here that you can have that variety of catching sharks. And at times, it's not real hard to get them to cooperate, especially right now on the edge of the reef. The yellowtail bite is going on, and the bull sharks are there getting the yellowtails pretty good. So if you wanted to catch a bull shark, you could probably catch one in about 60 to 90 feet right now. And also offshore on the humps, that's always a known place where guys will go to catch a big tiger or maybe a mako in the springtime. And there's plenty of sharks out there, and they're feeding mostly on the amberjacks that are out that way. So some big sharks, but it's in deep water. Now, shifting gears a little bit, when we go to the backcountry, we're in shallow water. We're in 3-4 feet of water, 6 feet of water, and oftentimes the water's clear, and you can sight fish for these sharks, and we can chum them in. We can take a fish and hang it over the side, kind of butterfly it, and just let the current bring the scent out, and you'll be surprised how many sharks will start showing up, swimming up to the boat. Now, depending on, again, how you want to catch it, we'll fly fish for these fish, and you can actually pick out the one you want to cast to and catch, and it's pretty exciting. It's a lot of fun, and there's also plenty of sharks in the darker water. The muddy water, the wrecks, and the structure holds a lot of sharks. And I've got a picture from our very own Captain Rick Murphy of a bull shark with a bad attitude back in the bay.
That was when Brie and I were out fishing on the Shark River barge, and she had this permit on, and this shark came from underneath.
That was so
ate
crazy.
my trolling motor, and then ate her permit.
Shark Week. Ooh, ha,
So we
ha.
both lost on that deal. Let's tell me what else is going on inshore, Randy.
You know, the snook bite has been pretty good around Flamingo and out to the west, but the key has been the time to be at that spot. Now, depending on if you're up on top of the flats, if you're around the mangrove islands with the deep troughs, or you're on the beaches, it's going to vary in the tide, and that tide, for most guys, have been on the incoming tide. Well, that incoming tide might be 3 or 4 hours difference from the beach to Flamingo, let's say. So just be aware of your tide. The outgoing tide's been kind of tough, although the guys around Flamingo are finding fish up on top of the flat. As that tide starts to fall, there's been some good snook, sight fishing for snook, up on the flats around and in front of Flamingo. And as you get to the west, especially along the park boundary markers and the beaches this time of year, you can have some pretty good fishing. For me, it's been on an incoming tide. We've been using pinfish and pilchards for our bait with a 3/8 ounce lead head along some of the shorelines and some of the corners. And I've got a photo of Dr. Gabriel Lescanos with the laser eye of Miami with one of his snook he caught a couple of days fishing with me.
Oh, yeah, I see him. I recognize him there. Go ahead, Randy. What you got offshore, bub?
That was the best I could do. I didn't know he was all covered up.
Tell me about some mutton snappers.
The mutton snappers, I love the mutton snappers this time of year. I'm not personally getting into them like I want, but all my friends are, and they're sending me pictures and telling me about it. 120 feet out to about 200 feet has been the range for these guys, and most everybody likes live bait, like pilchards or pinfish, and you want to use a long leader. You want to get that bait away from your lead. And the way the conditions have been, calm and nice, we've had that now for a while, and it makes the drifting really nice, and you can cover ground with the conditions being like this. So you got some current, you got a little bit of wind, you cover ground, and I like putting it in the rod holder and just drifting and waiting to find the bite and then mark it. And a lot of times you can go back to that area and catch a few more, but no one does it better than Captain Jack Carlson at a marathon with 2 conch charters and big-time bait and tackle. He sent me this picture of a monster they caught a couple of days ago.
Whoa. That
nice fish. All right, what else we got, bub?
You know, we're still talking about how good dolphin fishing has been. Everybody's getting in on it. A lot of the small boats are taking advantage because the weather's been nice. 600 feet on out. And the key really is to find the weeds with the bait under it and the birds. The birds are key, and nobody does that better than Captain Brian Cohn on the Contagious out of Robbie's Marina. I've got a picture that he sent with me from this weekend. They were fishing a tournament. He had his son Andy, and of course he had his ringers, anglers Richard and Don DeLeon from Miami, and these guys tore it up, and this was their winning catch from over the weekend.
That's awesome. Bree, did you notice that little man had the chain gang thing hanging around his head?
Yep, he looked cute.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Florida Keys. Randy says inshore, tarpon fish at first light in the backcountry or in the dark around the upper Keys bridges. And then offshore, yellowtail, anchor in 60 to 80 feet of water. Fish at first light or just before dark is for the best bite on them yellowtails.
All right, Rick, let's check out some tournaments going on the Florida Keys. All right. More than 50 years old, the Key West Fishing Tournament continues through August 31st and features free entry with 33 different species accepted. The Reef Lionfish Derby is set for September 14th through the 16th in Key Largo. This tournament is geared towards divers, and prizes will be awarded on a team basis. Named after the man known as Mr. Everglades, the Herman Lucerne Memorial Backcountry Fishing Championship is set for September 21st through the 23rd in Isla Mirada. Anglers are to target 7 species during this tournament, staged within the boundaries of Everglades National Park. The Take Stock in Children Backcountry Challenge is scheduled for September 28th through the 30th in Key Largo. Anglers will focus on species including trout, snook, and redfish while raising funds for local student scholarships. And now let's go to Andy Newman for a special event happening this weekend in the Florida Keys.
Well, hi guys. If you happen to be in Key West this weekend, you're going to notice lots of men that look like Ernest Hemingway. It's the annual Hemingway Days Festival, featuring the Hemingway Lookalike Contest at Sloppy Joe's Bar. There's other events as well, including the Havana Club Key West Marlin Tournament. More details on the festival, as well as additional tournaments in the Florida Keys at flakeys.com.
Rick, you could enter that. I could totally see you being Hemingway.
Oh, no.
He's speechless. The Casa Vieja Southeast region is a little sharky, so let's see what Captain Jimbo Thomas has to say about our Jawsome friends. Jimbo, you're up.
Jawsome.
Hey, Bree, Rick,
hey,
Guy,
bud.
Dave, everybody else in the studio there. Yep, it seems like we've got a lot more sharks around the Southeast region than we used to, especially bull sharks in the bays, and then we've had a lot of big sandbar sharks offshore. Now, if I was going to do some inshore shark fishing, I would get anchored up along the edge of a channel and hang a bonita or a barracuda slab off the back of the boat for chum, then drift the slab of bait back in the current. You want to use roughly 20 to 30 pound tackle with a 4 to 5 foot piece of wire leader and a circle hook, or you can fly fish for them if they do come up into chum, which they typically will. And a great place to do this is in the finger channels south of Key Biscayne. And the nice thing about those finger channels is you can do that just about any kind of weather. Almost always going to be calm in there. Now, the main sharks you're going to see inshore are bulls, lemons, and black tips, but it's not uncommon for a big hammerhead or even a tiger shark to be in that shallow water. Now, offshore, bonita and barracuda are also the bait of choice, and you want to fish anywhere from 100 feet on out to 400 feet or more, and put a weighted bait on or near the bottom, and also drift baits on the surface, or you can even put them under the kite. Now, offshore, I wouldn't use anything less than 30, maybe up to 50-pound tackle. You want to use wire leader and a circle hook. And then there's also a group of guys that shark fish off the beaches at night, and I heard that they paddle their baits out on the surfboards, but they can have that. I'll stay in bed. Now, the most common offshore sharks are going to be hammerheads, bulls, and lemons, but you never know what is going to swim by. Now, I don't claim to be a shark fisherman by any means, but we've caught pretty much every kind of shark over the years except for a great white, but there's even a few of those seen out here every year. And nowadays, you can hardly keep any of the sharks with all these new rules, which that's a good thing, but we've always released them anyways and let them live. Now, staying inshore, catch and release snook fishing in the inlet is still one of our best bets. These snook, they're schooled up in all of the inlets in the region, and they're being caught on live pilchards, herrings, pinfish, croakers, mullet, and you want to fish them on the bottom on a Jupiter rig. Now, a lot of these snook, they've been in the 20-pound range, so you want to use a little bit heavier leader, 50 or 60-pound fluorocarbon, and a 5.0 or 6.0 circle hook. And then if there's no live bait available, you can try working flare hawk jigs or 4-inch DOA or Bass Assassin jerk baits along the bottom. And they've been biting on both the incoming and outgoing tides, and it's been good early in the morning or late in the afternoon into the evening. Now, moving offshore, the dolphin fishing has been really good or just so-so, depending on who you speak to. The successful boats, they've been heading anywhere from 8 to 20 miles offshore, and we've been looking for weed lines, and we've been catching these dolphins mainly around big patches of grass. Not much in the way of bird activity, but the grass has been scattered out in big areas versus lined up, and it's made it really tough to troll through. And what's been working for us is going from big weed patch to weed patch until we find the fish, and then we pitch small live baits and cut baits to them. And the sizes of these fish has definitely gotten better in the last week with very few throwbacks, and most of these dolphin have been heavy lifters in the 5 to 7 pound range, and there have been some larger ones up to roughly 20 pounds or bigger mixed in. I got a photo. This is a 32-pound dolphin that was caught aboard Rick Arnold's brand new Yamaha-powered Contender on one of his maiden voyages. He caught that beautiful dolphin. Now, staying offshore, the nighttime snapper fishing has been excellent throughout the region, especially for the mangrove. There's also been muttons and yellowtails mixed in, and with all this heat we've had lately, getting out in the evenings is not a bad idea. Now, these snapper, they've been hanging on the outside reef in 40 to 80 feet of water. They're being caught on live or dead sardines and pilchards. You want to fish them on the bottom with a knocker rig, 30 to 50-pound leader, and 1.0 to 4.0 hooks. Now, Captain Ryan Ormston aboard the Reward Party boat out of Miami, he's been fishing on the outside reef line right off government cut. He's been finding mangroves anywhere from 2 to 6 pounds, and he says that the best bite has been after 9 o'clock or even after 10 o'clock. So the later it is, the better they've been biting. There's also been a lot of bait coming up in the lights, pilchards, and goggle eyes. They're getting those on the sabikis, and they're throwing them back out for bait. And some of those larger fish have been on those fresh live baits. But the bull sharks and all the black tips and the reef sharks, they've been a real problem eating a lot of those hooked fish.
All right, Jimbo, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the southeast region. Jimbo says inshore, fish your local inlet in the evenings with live and artificial baits to catch and release snook. And then offshore, look for dolphin around the weed patches and under the birds anywhere from 8 to 20 miles off ashore.
All right, Rick, well, staying in the southeast region, if you're looking for something fun to do with the kids this weekend, check out the Cops and Kids Fishing Day, Saturday, July 21st, 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the North Bayshore William Lamont Park in North Miami. Learn water safety tips, saltwater fishing methods, responsible marine practices, and every participant will receive their own fishing pole to keep.
What?
For more info, contact the North Miami Police Department. That is awesome.
That is awesome.
Way to go, guys.
That's this weekend, guys.
This weekend.
Go get them.
Go get them. We've got your Central East Region Captain coming to you next, but first let's swim over to the CCA workbench with Dave Ferrell to see what fun he has for us.
Ricky Red Rods! Everybody gets one! You get a rod! You get a rod! I'm just kidding. Look at Rick's face.
All right, we'll be back. Such a jokester.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Soft Science, Supreme Comfort Footwear. Real Legends, exclusively at Bell's. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
Yeah? Stop working right now! Look outside. Is this spreadsheet weather? No, it's not. This is fishing weather. So stop clicking, get out there, and catch a bass. Stop what you're doing and start fishing Rapala Ripstop.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
Well, we're here at the CCA workbench, and as Dave said, everybody gets a rod, and Dave is going to pay for them.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, he
I'm
just
too
got
poor.
real, did it, brother?
Yeah, no.
All right, so.
You can tell him anything you want, dude. I don't care.
At ICAST, we introduced the new Ricky Red series.
From Okuma.
From Okuma. There's going to be 12 different models, guys, that'll be available at all your local tackle stores. Go into your tackle store, and if they don't carry Okuma, just tell them, call Okuma and get the Ricky Red rods
That's
in
right.
there. So, Dave, when I designed these, one of the things that was really important to me is I did it with Randy Towle's help, who I think is one of the best custom rod designers.
Really good guy.
Most of the rods that we use today come with a California taper, much longer butt.
Right.
And I don't like that because when we're jigging, a lot of times it gets hung up in our shirt.
Right.
You know, we do a lot of jigging here. So
and we're all wearing long sleeve loose shirts and
of
stuff
course.
now.
So we shorten the butt. The other thing that I do is I made the reel seat locking aft because centrifugal force, when you're fighting a fish, you notice how the reel wants to fall off sometimes when you don't get it on there real tight. Well, when you have a locking reel seat facing down, then guess what ends up happening?
Yeah.
It just seats itself even more so.
Right.
The other thing that we did, 10 guides instead of 8. The reason why is we wanted more places to pull from when we're fighting a fish, and that gives you, that disperses the pulling power throughout 10 places, including the reel would be 11 instead of the traditional
plus you've got
8.
Aluminum oxide inserts, right?
Absolutely. We have a hook keeper here. I have
stainless
this,
steel.
Yes.
Because those things like to rust.
So, you know, there's 8 spinning models. We'll talk about this some more as the season progresses.
Right.
And then there's 4 conventional or bait casting models for
up
guys
to 7 foot 6 inches.
7'6" to 6'6", depending on which one you pick.
Okuma.com. Go check them out.
Tell them you want to know about the Ricky Red.
All right, we got some Bass Assassin products. This is the little Southwest shad. That's the Texas Roach.
New color.
New color.
Brought it back, actually. It was gone for a little while, and
I like
now
the Texas
it
Roach.
brought it back.
I like that bait anyway, the Southwest Shad. It's got a nice flat bottom on the back underneath, and that thing glides like crazy. And if you just let it sit, it'll flutter. That little tail will flutter because it's flat on the bottom, and it flops up really nicely.
Flutter or jubilates,
If you like to jubilate, I flutter.
Yeah, you are a fluttery kind of guy.
Well, speaking of flutter, look at this. This is the Pimp Daddy. It's the lime green and pink flake. That's beautiful right there, man. So I don't know what to say.
Because you can't say anything. You know, I love the people, the Bass Assassin, the family. They come up with the best names. They win the award every year for the coolest names of lures, without a doubt.
That does look like a Pimp Daddy, too.
Yeah, they do, man.
That's nice.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
You can see the fuzz from the hat.
Real quick, we got these Guy Harvey mats here. These are 24 by 27. Really nice. They got recycled rubber on the outside, and really good UV protected Guy Harvey art will stay pretty and vibrant and durable. I don't have this thing upside down, do I? No, thank goodness. That's a miracle. But look how pretty those are.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Dave
That's very
on
nice.
Red Bull.
Yeah,
this is what you get here.
Yeah, I like the Red Bull.
All right, tell me about the safety kit, Dave.
Oh, well, this is the Critical Rescue kit, and this is sponsored by CCA and Critical Rescue. This thing has all the heavy trauma. This is great for a saltwater boat. You know, if you're out there messing with big stuff, you can get nasty wounds. This has all the big gauze, the splints, the wound dressings, you know, all the good stuff that you're going to need. A tourniquet to really, you know, help yourself out. A good pair of scissors, EMT scissors, all the tape, all the gauze you need. And it comes in this really nice Pelican case, which, you know, you can't beat. And if you're going to be going offshore, you need to have a good kit, and that's probably the best one I've ever seen.
Critical Rescue.
Could
save your life, right, Brie?
That's
Rick,
right.
Dave's also on Cuban coffee as well as Red Bull, so just
might as well double it up.
Double it up. Captain Jim Ross in the Bell Central East region is chomping at the hook to tell us all about our weekend bite. So, Jim, don't make us wait any longer.
Well, when it comes to sharks, there's no shortage of them here around the Central East region, Brie. Especially in the summer months like we have right now. There seem to be just about everywhere on most days. They're all along the beaches and nearshore waters, especially when there's bait fish around. But even without, there seems to be quite a few. And the sandbar sharks are so thick on our 70 to 90-foot reefs, and then actually, to be honest with you, all the way out to 250-foot on the reefs and wrecks. It's virtually impossible to get a snapper or an amberjack to the surface before the doggone thing gets eaten. But anglers looking for a good fight on big sharks can drop live baits like grunts or blue runners or small jack crevalle on these structures and basically just hang on because there's a bunch of them out there. The other species that's going on right now and is going to get even better as we come into this next full moon is the mangrove snapper. These fish are starting to congregate. They're getting ready to spawn on this next full moon. A lot of males, little bachelor groups all bunched up right now. A lot of the fish we've been catching are 3 to 6 pounds. They're all full of milt. Haven't seen a whole lot of roe fish yet with those females showing up. But any live bait, any small live bait or shrimp will work. You can also chum them up by throwing cut baits out in the water. But use a real light leader. 25 to 30 pound test Suffolk fluorocarbon seems to work really well. And a little short a little 1/0 or 2/0 VMC circle hook. That's the key to getting bites, is really, really small hooks, light line, and you'll be able to get these fish. Now, swinging inshore, our snook bite has been pretty good, and the guys at Salty Dog Outfitters out of Ponce Inlet said that the bite up there is red hot right now, especially on the jetties in the evening time. The bite's been really good for anglers that are casting bombers and flare hawks this week, so those two baits seem to be topped right now. They're also getting some pretty good action on the docks and bridges in a lot of the oyster reefs and rocky areas from Ponce Inlet all the way down to Oak Hill. So just because you're not getting to the inlet in the evening time doesn't necessarily mean you can't get a snook. Backwaters in the Spruce Creek area and the docks all along the Intracoastal Waterway have been really, really productive. Live pigfish seems to be working best for them. And then our redfish, we're known for redfish, and we've got some big bulls right now. Once again, Ponce Inlet's the place to go. Captain Fred Robert at fishingguy.com was telling me that they're catching a bunch of big reds right now with his clients. Fred says live baits are the key to getting the bite, and live mullet is what he's been using on most of his trips. If he's not finding the mullet, then he's getting some pinfish or pigfish. They're working pretty well on those big bull reds at the inlet as well. Down in the flats of Mosquito Lagoon, the fish are tailing fairly early in the morning. Seems to be middle and north end. The south end's been a little slow lately, but the Assassin soft plastic jerkbaits are really, really effective, just like the ones Rick was just showing. And you want to put a VMC 4/0 worm hook in them and work that bait real slowly. Small twitches with your rod tip. Don't be overly aggressive, and that's how you'll get the bigger redfish to strike. We were actually using a Houdini-colored 5-inch jerkbait with this photo that I've got here. Roy Crush came over from Texas, filmed with me the other day. We had a good time. He caught some really, really nice fish on topwater on the skitter walks, but this big red really, really took the icing on the cake. He got that on a 5-inch soft plastic jerkbait in Houdini.
Crushing
All right, crushed it. That's good job, Brie. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the sea sucker hotspots from the Central East region. You know, Brie beats me to everything. Offshore mangrove snappers on the reef and wreck in 70 to 110 feet of water, free line, cut sardines, grunts, or pogies on light leaders, and then inshore, bull reds and snook at the inlet. Use live pigfish rigged on a VMC 7385 6/0 circle hook.
You weren't going to say crushing it.
I was going to say that dude crushed it. Is what I was going to say, not
Well,
crushing it.
Where'd you learn that from? Me.
You.
How would you like to win a Nissan Titan from Harbor Trucks? Well, the Harbor Trucks giveaway is making it easy, and all you have to do is go to their Facebook page, like it, mark going to an event, and tag a friend. But there are so many more ways to enter until the end of December, so head on over to harbortrucks.com for more information, and good luck. Have anything to say about that?
You know, right now, they have $10,000 off of a truck.
What? That's a lot off.
Yeah, that's a lot off.
Sounds good to me.
5 figures.
Yes. We're headed to the Panhandle and Northeast regions next here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. But before we take a short break, we want to remind you, if you want to keep up with everything fishing in Florida, visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us on YouTube, and view and tag us on Instagram. We'll be right back with your captains.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Startron cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti, built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Strike Zone Fishing, your fish hunt paddle store. And Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
Flagler Construction Equipment is your certified Volvo equipment dealer, servicing 55 counties in Florida. With Volvo, you get brute strength combined with bulletproof durability. That means low downtime and optimal production. Flagler Construction Equipment is the partner for all your Volvo sales, service, and rental needs, and your first and last stop for legendary customer service and support. Push boundaries with Volvo. Get to know Flagler Construction Equipment by stopping by one of our 6 locations or visit us on the web at www.flaglerce.com.
I'm here with Mr. Kokubo-san. Thank you so much for having us here and the testing that you guys are doing. I want to ask you, how many years did it take for this motor to come to market?
Oh, actually, we spent many times, at least beyond your expectation.
A lot longer than we expected, for sure. So now that the motor has been introduced, the XTO 425, how do you like it?
I love this motor. So because this motor has many new features: electric steering, direct injection, and Hellmaster system. So very nice future.
5.6 liter, guys. There's nothing that big out there on the market. Now, one last question. There's many applications for this motor. So where do you see it going, on what size boats?
So I think bigger center console, cabin, and express. So not only quad, triple, twin application, but also single application like a bay boat.
Big bay boats.
Yeah.
So we're gonna actually be sending these out in the fall sometime soon. They'll be available at all the dealers. And what about the warranty?
5 years, of course.
5 years, of
Yeah,
course.
of course.
Well, thank you for all your dedication and hard work. Guys, remember this, a 32-foot center console was a big boat in 2002. Now, as you could tell, what size boats are we gonna have in 2025 or even 2030? It looks like to me, Yamaha's already ahead of the game. So Brie, I'm gonna take you down memory lane. In 2008, I was the first guy to get to run this 250. And so the progression, that's the 4.2 liter. Now we're integrating steering and we're changing exhaust systems, and to have him at my fingertips for 3 days.
So exciting.
Exciting. I can't even express some of the cool things that we talked about. I got
Hidden
goosebumps.
the candy store here.
It was crazy. But you know what? I'm really excited about the new motors that Yamaha has, a 5.6 liter. It is the bomb. Lots of horsepower.
It's the future.
It is. That's right.
All right, if you want to check catching a shark
like
off
you.
your bucket list, yes, I'm the future.
Yes.
The Yeti Panhandle region is a good place to do that, and Captain Pat Deneen is here to tell you how.
Hey, Bree, if you want sharks, we definitely have them in the Yeti Panhandle region. From the beaches to offshore. I spoke with Captain Sean Chalker in Franklin County, and every day he's been out snapper fishing. He said tiger sharks, big tiger sharks, visiting his boat. And then the other day while we were tarpon fishing, I saw a really big tiger shark right up on the beach by the Eiffel Tower, just west of Fort Walton Beach. And additionally, I've been seeing plenty of hammerheads cruising the bar. So the big sharks are pretty cool, but by far my favorite shark to fish for is a blacktip shark on the beach. It's sight fishing on fairly light tackle. They run hard, jump after being hooked. They're found throughout the Panhandle, pretty much anywhere in the Panhandle region where you're going to find some bait along the beach. You're going to find those blacktip sharks. Ladyfish are the preferred bait on a medium heavy spinning tackle rod. Use a circle hook on a wire leader. The blacktips run up to about 50 pounds, but there are plenty of other much bigger sharks in the area if that's what your target is. And in that same area that you're going to find the tarpon or the blacktip sharks, the tarpons are there. They're swimming east to west along the outer bar. The fish are now, they've broken up from those big schools. They're now in smaller groups, 1s, 2s, 5s, 3s. So the best way to fish for them is to anchor up on a quiet section of beach, away from any boat traffic, the parasail boats, the jet ski boats, and sight casting them as they swim past you. I use a 7/0 circle hook snelled on 60-pound fluorocarbon, and then that is tied to 25-pound fluorocarbon, tied to 30-pound braid on a heavy spinner outfit. Lead the fish with your cast and let the fish find the bait. It's very important. Don't let the bait find the fish. Past couple of days, there's been A lot of fish in that 50 to 70 pound range, but also some much, much bigger fish. And there's a great picture of Jessie Lane of Destin with a really, really nice tarpon she caught fishing with Captain Brandon Wright out of Destin. And it's a great picture and an awesome catch.
What a photo.
That's a great photo.
Yeah, man, it is really a good photo. Moving offshore, the red snappers, they close on Friday, so that's either tomorrow or today or yesterday, depending on when you're watching this show. But the bottom line, Friday night at midnight, they close. And this year has been a better snapper season than the past couple. I spoke with Captain Eddie Woodall over in Pensacola, and he's been fishing state waters and subscribing to the big bait, big bite theory. In the past couple days, they've been catching plenty of 15 to 18 pound fish. Using live bait on a slip sinker rig with 6 to 10 feet of leader, fish 20 to 30 feet off the bottom. And remember, those fish are going to close on Friday at midnight, so don't keep one after that. And there's a really nice photo of a red snapper caught with Captain Eddie this past week fishing out of Pensacola. And then finally, the king mackerels they're biting off the beach over structure, either natural or man-made. It's been good throughout the Panhandle, but particularly good in the eastern portion of the Panhandle over by Mexico Beach and Apalachicola. Basically, you want to load up live little cigar minnows, herrings, or blue runners, and you're going to catch them outside the pass by sabiki fishing, and then take those baits over some bottom structure, either natural or man-made, and fish those live baits on a wire stinger rig, either off the surface or on a downrigger. Often the bigger kings are going to come from deeper structure, but some of the kings you're going to find right up along the beach are those bigger kings right on the beach are there to feed, so they're going to bite.
Hey, Pat, a few weeks ago, you guys caught some monster blue marlins in a tournament. Is that blue marlin fishing still red hot?
Yeah, Rick, the blue marlin fishery I have not been fishing for them. Let me straighten that up straight up. But the blue marlin fishing off the northern Gulf has been on fire this summer. And what everybody has figured out is a live bait fishery is the way to go. So everybody's rigged up with the tuna tubes, catching the blackfin tunas, the skipjack tunas overnight, and then fishing them things first thing in the morning throughout the day around those rigs. And there has been some really, really big blue marlins caught.
All right, bud, we'll have to do that sometime. All right, we're going to take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. Patar says inshore, the dock lights in Chino Bayou are loaded up with trout and redfish, use live baits, flies, and small soft plastics. And then offshore, king mackerels on live baits off of the beaches of Franklin and Gulf County over any type of natural structure.
Rick.
Bios, baby.
Rick, no.
That's how we pronounce it in Louisiana.
Cinco, not Chino.
No, Chino.
No,
ask Pat.
Cinco.
It's Chino.
All right, let's FaceTime with your Captain Tommy Derringer.
Chino now.
All right, in the Strike Zone Northeast region to see what's going on in his.
Tommy.
Hola, Tommy.
Cinco, Chino,
it's
Cuatro. It doesn't matter, does it?
Hey, well, however you want to say it.
But that Yeti, though, is beautiful on that boat.
That was supposed to be yours, but he was nice to me. So guess what? He got the Yeti, Brie.
I'm nice.
Yeah,
I'm so nice. Okay, Tommy, go ahead.
Take
Sorry.
it to the beach tomorrow, actually.
That's my boy,
you know
taking
what?
his Yeti for a beach patrol.
You got 3 girls, so you can have it.
Go get him, boy.
Hey, you know what, guys? We could not have picked a better week to talk about sharks here in the Strike Zone Northeast region. We've got a ton of bait around, and our sharks, you know what? They're fired up. Now, there's a ton of different ways to catch sharks in my region, and right now they're sitting on the pokey pods along the beach. Now, you can target those big sharks in the pokey pods. Just simply net some of those pogies. You can use them alive right around the bait pods, or you can create your own chum slick by just cutting them back and let them float behind the boat. Now, if you do get them chummed up, you can do something that's really fun. You can sight fish them off the surface, and you can pick which shark you want to catch. Now, one of the more popular ways to catch a shark, and some really big ones at that, is get behind one of the many shrimp boats that we have working along the coast right now. When those shrimpers toss their bycatch overboard, it's an all-out feeding frenzy. And again, you can sight fish those sharks, which is a lot of fun. And you can find all different kinds of species of sharks behind those shrimp boats. Now, some of my favorites, the spinner sharks, you know, they put on a crazy spinning aerial display when you hook them up, kind of like a tarpon. Now, you don't have to wait until the shrimpers toss their bycatch either. You can just bring your own live or dead bait with you and just drift it back behind the shrimp boats, and you're gonna hook up. Now, we also have some really big bonnethead sharks inshore, and they can be a lot of fun on some light tackle. I call them the Northeast Florida bonefish because they make some crazy drag screaming runs on some light tackle. Those bonnethead sharks, they're primarily crustacean eaters, so a half blue crab works great for those guys. No matter what type of shark you're targeting, you're going to want to beef up your leader a bit, and in some cases go to a wire leader, although we land quite a few big ones on heavy fluorocarbon and a BMC circle hook. Now, staying offshore, along with all the mangrove snapper, there's also been some huge mutton snapper around the past few weeks. I spoke to Captain Billy Hunsicker from EndlessSummerCharters.com. He tells me he's catching those big muttons, some of them 15 pounds plus, in 140 to 150 feet of water out of St. Augustine. Now, dead baits like sardines and cigar minnows, those have been working really well. And Billy told me he's been using a really long 10-foot or longer fluorocarbon leader, and he's going with sometimes 60-pound or lighter fluorocarbon leader if they're being picky. Now, there's still plenty of big mangrove snapper around in the same depths as well. Speaking of big snapper, I've got a photo here. This is Brent with a couple of big mutton snapper that he caught aboard the Endless Summer with Captain Billy. Now, moving inshore, we have that magic early morning low tide this weekend that we look for when we want to chase those redfish up shallow this time of year. With the tide being low early, the water's going to be cooler. So you know what? You can expect to find those redfish up shallow. They're going to be chasing and feeding on small shrimp and minnows. Now, I've had my clients tossing a saltwater assassin 3.5-inch diadapper or a little boss rigged on a weightless, weedless hook. Now, those small soft plastics, they mimic those shrimp and minnows that those reds are chasing just about perfectly, and you can present them with little or no splash so you're not spooking the fish, and I know Rick knows how important that is. Now, you can find those shallow redfish at low tide in the back of a lot of the creeks north of the Volano Bridge in St. Augustine. Creeks like Stokes, Casacola, and Capo. Now, those reds have also been pushing out right along the Intercoastal Waterway on that low tide stage. Look for the concentrations of bait in front of the drains on some of those bigger flats. Live finger mullet or mud minnows have been working well for those redfish, and I've got another picture here. This is the man, my good buddy, Breck Sloan, with a beauty of a redfish he caught early in the morning with me this past week. Now, also inshore, I've been talking about them a lot lately. The flounder bite has been steady this week throughout the region. The best bite continues to be around all those area inlets. With the low tide earlier in the morning, it's going to be a great time to hit those inlets, hit the docks and the rocks with some finger mullet or a mud minnow on a fish finder rig. I spoke to James Farlow from Salty Dog Outfitters at High Bridge down in Flagler Beach. He tells me the flounder have started to show up in better numbers right along the intercoastal down there. James says he's going to target the sandy drop-offs right along the edges of the ICW, especially the ones near a creek or a canal mouth. Again, a live mud minnow or a soft plastic like a saltwater assassin sea shad in that Mama's 14K color. Drag those things across the bottom. That's been the way to go. I got one last picture here. This is my buddy and tournament angler Carlos Garcia with a big doormat flatty that he caught early this week in Flagler Beach.
Man, it looks like you've had some beautiful weather, Tommy. It shows in your pictures. Man, you lucky dog.
Those sunrises, they've been awesome, man.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk to you next week. We're going to take a look at the hot spots from the Northeast region. Tommy says offshore mutton snappers and triggerfish and 140 to 150 foot depths out of St. Augustine. And then inshore, redfish and flounder on the morning outgoing tide. Fish in the back of any of the bigger creeks for shallow reds or fish the drains from the smaller runouts for the flounder.
Cinco.
Okay.
We got this. The Central West region is coming up next here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, so don't swim off just yet. We will be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Suffix. Always use the best line. The IGFA. Fish for the future. Flagler Construction Equipment. Your exclusive Volvo dealer. And Okuma. Inspired fishing.
When you're moving a big offshore boat, it's all about thrust and trust. For thrust, nothing compares to the Yamaha purpose-built 5.3-liter V8 Power Pioneer. And for trust, Yamaha's new F350C model becomes the only outboard in its horsepower class to feature a 5-year limited warranty. Never settle for less than complete confidence and control in the open water. That's Yamaha V8 Power. Get the best and forget the rest.
Outside is a bully. There are bears, screaming fleet-footed waters. Arrogant mountains. Goliaths. 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 And 100 other excuses to stay inside. But there are ways to deal with bullies.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Hi, this is Chris Freeland of Harbor Trucks, and my family has been in the business for over 70 years, and I hope that means as much to you as it does to us. Trucks have always been my passion, and I've assembled a team of experts to help find the right truck for you.
Harbor Trucks also has a dedicated commercial department that can design and deliver the perfect truck or van for your business anywhere in the country.
Our staff includes master technicians ensuring every one of our trucks goes through a rigorous inspection and reconditioning process. We also have a team of customization experts that can build the truck of your dreams, including custom tires, rims, bumpers, LED lights, and more. Come test drive every make and model in one location at our on-site towing and test course, or we can deliver an amazing truck directly to you.
Harbor Trucks, hassle-free buying and low, low, low prices. Check us out now at harbortrucks.com. That's harbortrucks.com.
Today's Power Pole Tip of the Week, we're going to discuss catching bait with the help of my power poles. I have a couple different styles of bait catching, and both of them my power poles assist me. First, on the grass flats in the bay, I'll use my power poles to stop the boat and keep it from pivoting. Then I'll begin to chum in front of my boat to bring the pilchards to the bow along with some pinfish. I'll throw my cast net a few times, bag my pilchards, put them in my live well, and go run my charter. My second method is what we call rodeo style, and we'll ride up and down the beach on the trolling motor looking for the pilchards, running down the beach, and I'm talking in 1 foot, 2 foot of water right along the beach. Once I've seen them, I'll throw the cast net on them. Using my foot switch, I'll lower the power poles, stopping the boat, bag the pilchards, put them in the live well. And that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week.
Today's Power Pole Tip. I love Jeff Page. Speaking of Jeff Page, the StarTron Central West region is upon us, and Captain Jeff Page is here to tell you how to get the sharks upon you. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, you know what? Those power poles are amazing. You know what? In our region, in the StarTron Central West region, shark fishing is really popular, and we got a variety of ways of catching them. Probably the most popular is, I'm sure guys have talked about it already, is getting out in the open waters of the Gulf, anywhere from a half mile to 100 miles out, and just getting a chum slick set up, and you're going to be able to put down a big chunk bait like a half of a Jack Crevalle or a half of a bonita or a whole mullet. Anything big that has a lot of oil in it is going to attract the fish. And I suggest using at least a 4/0 conventional stand-up rod and reel, even bigger, on a 7 to a 12/0 circle hook with wire leader. And the variety of sharks you're going to catch out there range from black tips, bulls, lemons, hammerheads, tigers. And then in the summertime, they'll get in a little bit closer to the beach with the bonitas and mackerels, and you're going to get a lot of black tips and spinner sharks in that game. And what's neat about that is you can chum those fish up with small baits and then throw lures at them like surface plugs or jigs. And the only thing is you have to use a piece of wire or you're going to have a lot of cutoffs. Another popular method for catching fish in our region, and guys do it off the piers, like the Venice Fishing Pier, the Anna Maria Piers, or the Skyway Pier, or even off the beach at night with big surf rods, is they'll take balloons and float their baits out, and then when they get out to the desired depth or range, they'll pop those balloons off and their baits will sink to the bottom. The last is during tarpon season, which goes from late April till probably end of July. There's lots of big sharks mixed in with the tarpon schools along the beach. And if you're ready, you can always flip a live bait. A lot of guys use chunks of stingray as well and catch tarpon that way. I've got a couple photos tonight from my good friend Captain Gary Huffman of Tuna Breath Charters. Those were taken out in the middle of Tampa Bay of a hammerhead they caught, and that's a fish while he was coming in alongside the boat, and then when him and his clients landed it.
All right, Paige, let's go offshore. What you got?
Red snapper, this is it, the final week of recreational red snapper season. Rick, the bite remains consistent. Lots of fish, 110 to 140 feet of water. Live or dead bait, doesn't seem to be matter. Guys have really done well this whole season, and the weather's let them get out there a lot. It's been pretty decent weather. Captain Jason Stocking, Captain Billy Nobles of St. Pete both tell me they have no problem getting their limits out in that range. Got a red snapper photo tonight of another local captain of Hang Time Fishing Charters, Captain Larry Maroney, with a real nice red snapper he got just the other day. Moving inshore, species 1, tarpon. Tarpon fishing remains consistent. Lots of fish along the beaches. Just a little bit different of a pattern, Rick. Instead of being grouped up and throwing at fish with corked crabs or corked pinfish, you pretty much want to just get in the line where you think these fish are traveling and put dead baits out on the bottom or a corked fish out there and just kind of drift. And don't get excited if you see a couple roll over to your left. Don't grab your rod and throw over to them. Keep your baits out. Captain Clark Wright said he's been getting 6 to 8 bait bites a day doing that. They're also doing real well up in the harbor. Danny Latham, Matt Haig, Bo Johnson, all those guys have been doing real well up near the mouths of the rivers, out in 20 feet of water, using live ladyfish or, again, dead menhaden on the bottom. I've got a photo tonight of Captain Clark Wright and 3 of his lady anglers he had out the other day with a nice tarpon they got. And my final fish tonight, redfish. A couple weeks ago, I said, you know what, with all this rain we've been having, the redfish are starting to kick off with the afternoon thunderstorms. Well, we've also got some big schools of glass minnows and hatchbait moving in, and you're going to see these fish pushing in the morning when the winds are down. You can catch them throughout the day, but when you see these fish, if you lead them with a topwater plug, like a Rapala skitterwalk and a bone chartreuse or a live target walking mullet, you're going to be able to get the bite. If not, you can put a live whitebait or pinfish out front of them under a cork, Terracea Bay, Palmasola Bay to the north, and then down south in Lemon Bay along the west side. As the tide gets higher, a chunk of ladyfish or pinfish up under the mangroves work real well. Or you can rig a saltwater assassin, golden brim 5-inch jerkbait on a 1/4 ounce jig head. I have a photo tonight of my favorite angler, Diane Page, with a nice redfish she got on a live target walking mullet.
Thank you so much, Captain Page. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Daiquiri Deck, Central West region hotspots offshore. Lots of Spanish mackerels and bonitas holding on the nearshore artificial reefs anywhere from 4 to 7 miles in the Gulf. And then inshore speckled trout, nice keeper-sized trout on the deeper grass flats of Rattlesnake Key and Emerson.
All right, Rick, well, the reports are in, and it's time for you to get out on the water. Remember to send us your weekend catch photos, and you could end up on our show in your region. So stay tuned for just a bit longer, and we're going to tell you what we're hooking up to next weekend, only on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Master your most challenging offshore experience with confidence and ease with Yamaha Helmmaster. Precise, intuitive control on the open seas. Unrivaled ease for maneuvering and docking in port. And now SetPoint adds 3 new dimensions to boat control. Maintain boat position with fish point, or a position and heading with stay point, or a heading while you drift with drift point. Yamaha Helmmaster, now with SetPoint. Complete digital control for today's larger offshore boats.
When you're paid to put fish in the boat, you don't mess around with the thing that puts fish in the boat. Always use the best line.
Thanks for tuning in to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes, special segments, and updated fishing reports from your region right on our homepage. Just head to FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
Make sure to tune in next week because we are talking all about marlin, which Dave has no idea about, do you?
I love it. I love it. We're going marlin fishing.
We're going marlin fishing, which you know something about, I hope, right?
Yes, big ones.
Big
Big ones.
We're going to also have Casavieja folks here talking about marlin fishing in Guatemala.
So we're gonna
Guatemala, which I've been to, but we caught
pitching to
sails
marlin.
too.
Pitching to marlin.
That's right. Pitch it to moo, pitch it to marlin.
You got
Perfect.
In my
Nobody gets pitch it to moo.
Hey, thank you so
All right,
much for
guys.
Guy Harvey.
Yes, thank you so much for
coming.
Guy Harvey. Thank you for our awesome audience. We hope you have a great weekend out on the water. Go catch them sharks. We'll see you next week.